Step 1, wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause of sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you. We are covering the case of Sebastian Rogers. He's been missing from his home since February 26, 2024. According to everything that we have learned about this case, Sebastian Rogers was last seen on February 25, 2024, while dining with his mother at a local steak restaurant known as the Texas Roadhouse. Allegedly, he left the Texas Roadhouse about 6:22 to 6:25 in the evening, and they proceeded their way home. We do have audio information confirming that Sebastian did in fact arrive to his house on Stafford Court the evening of Sunday, February 25th. Around 6 a.m. on February 26th, his mother allegedly awoke, went to go wake up her son, and found his bed empty. After looking around the home for several minutes, she ended up calling her husband, which was allegedly 3.5 hours away in Memphis, Tennessee, at what is dubbed the St. Jude's Project. Since then, the roads were filled up with a lot of law enforcement. A huge and massive search effort went underway to find Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. They ended up within 24 hours releasing an Amber Alert. We're learning a lot about these Amber Alert system and the strict criteria needed to get a person on the Amber Alert. So how is it Sebastian got on this Amber Alert without evidence of an abduction 24 hours after he was reported missing? These are a lot of questions that we have no answers to as we're working this case. What I can tell you is their statements have changed wildly. Here are a few examples of the wild changes.
He is asked, would he be able to ride a city bus?
Nothing is off the table as far as abilities. Could the young man get on a bus? I'm sure he could.
We've never done it before.
We've never rode a city bus, so I don't think he understands the process. He doesn't have any sense of money. He may have, like, let's say a $20 bill in his hand, but he doesn't truly understand what $20 would get him.
He's good
Right.
at it, but he doesn't
I understand.
Time and money.
It seems awfully funny that, he just can't seem to take care of himself. He doesn't really know much. But when we hear his father talk about him, Seth Rogers, he describes his son more capable than we've ever heard. He says his son is so capable, he goes fishing, he can shoot a gun. There's a lot of stuff that Sebastian does that, from the information we had from the mom and stepfather, we wouldn't believe. And just recently, after the 1-year milestone of this young man being missing, the mom and stepdad come out and say there was a misunderstanding about their son and his capabilities. That's kind of odd. Let's listen to that.
With his autism, is there anything else that we should add that you want the public to know right now?
I would say that he is what they would consider high functioning. He's not, he doesn't struggle with verbal communication, but he does, he does struggle sometimes with expressing himself is, I guess, the best way that I could put that. But he's so smart and he's so capable, and that I think the initial image of him that was portrayed was misleading to an extent.
Yes, very much misleading to an extent. They're the ones that were feeding the public the information about their son. So why were they being so dubious in explaining the capabilities he had early on? They treated him or put him into the minds of the people looking for him that he had an infant's mind. And that is completely untrue. We're going to be diving into this and more today on the Bullhorn Betty channel.
I struggle to put words to how it feels, honestly. The amount of ups and downs, the amount of possible leads that haven't panned out. I miss him so much.
So at this point, it's keep searching. People keep looking.
Keep searching, keep looking. We keep putting up new flyers. I know a lot of places, they take them down after so long. We just keep going back and putting more up. I refer to my original request just to anyone that's willing. Don't don't let him become forgotten. Don't let him become lost in the next story, not to supersede other children, because they all deserve just as much, if not more attention, because all children do. But I would say just please don't let him become forgotten and lost, because we're never gonna stop. We're never gonna let that happen if we can help it.
And I hope you stick around to learn a little more about these mysterious statements from the mom and stepdad and the recanting thereof. God bless. Well, hello, my beautiful people. It's nice to see you this beautiful Tuesday morning. Time to wake up. If you don't like my buttons or I'm too loud for you, you got two choices. Turn your volume down or leave. That's it. So it is nice to see everybody this Tuesday morning. We do have quite the topic of this show today. We're going to be taking a deep dive, and yes, I am going to be reading your comments today. I am going to be reading your comments. Well, some of you. Some people we don't really care what they have to say, right? So I'm just saying, some people we could live without your commentary. Time and place, be on the right show with your BS. I already see somebody's up in here and acting all kinds of childish. Somebody needs some attention. They didn't get their attention from their mommy and daddy this morning. Aww. All right, it's nice to see everybody. Good morning to my beautiful mods. I couldn't get my emojis to work on the computer this morning. I don't know why, but you know what? We're on StreamYard, so we have to expect to have some technical difficulties throughout this show. But if we don't, praise God, right? Have a great day, y'all. We're going to be diving right into a story from Mexico. This is kind of, y'all, we don't usually go coastal unless it has something to do with American citizens, but this story here is just horrific. And then we're going to go into a missing woman in Sarasota, and those are our two videos just at the beginning. The rest of the show is going to be designated to Sebastian Rogers and some of the statements that were made, and answering some of those statements that are some of the questions out on some social media, and showing some other information. Hey, Oma is the newest member of the coffee club. And the reason why I say it like that, because she's been around a long time and also a member of this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club. So welcome home, love. Welcome home. Nani McPoppins. Good morning, Coffee Beans. Good morning. I'm working with the Ninja this morning, but I'm drinking espresso. I made a whole pot of espresso, so I have my lattes all day. I'm not gonna lie. This channel truly does run on coffee. Damn. Believe it or not. If it wasn't for caffeine, this channel would not survive. Okay. I you know that like get that GIF, the GIF, I guess that's what they call them, GIFs. And there's one in there where it's just a man's got this huge coffee cup. It's like this big, right? And he just takes it and he just dumps it on his head, right? I kind of feel like that every single morning. But this whole Mexico thing, I think, is very interesting because it's showing, in my opinion, a sign of Mexico feeling supported, believe it or not, to really crack down on cartels in their country. And it's becoming, I shouldn't say becoming, it's been hostile over in Mexico, especially for people in the trade. And the trade is what, believe it or not, is taking care of some of those local people because their government is not taking care of them. And there are people that are now standing up and speaking up because these cartels are, you know, unaliving people in the masses, and they're finding mass graves in Mexico where all of these people are, you know, and some of these people you have to think are innocent, you know, wrong place, wrong time type of people. And over 100,000 residents of Mexico are missing. So this is a terrible discovery, but it's an eye-opening one at that. So before we get started on Sebastian Rogers, I just wanted to take you guys over to Mexico just to see what is truly going on over there, and it is quite bad. And then we're going to discuss just ever so slightly a case that I just found out about this morning here in Sarasota.
Mass grave last week in Mexico's Jalisco state. President Claudia Sheinbaum on Monday pledged stronger efforts to search for missing people in the country.
And I do applaud the stronger efforts to search for missing people, but again, we need more efforts to combat the people that are killing these people. And so I'd like to hear that, but again, they are making steps now to do what is right by their country, and hopefully this will start seeing this persist over the next few years. This is crucial and critical. The more effort we have from Mexico aiding in keeping bad people out, the better we are. Less drugs that are coming in, because right now the borders are closed, so now they're having to use a lot of weight to try to get across the borders at one time, as opposed to the smugglers. They have to now re-strategize their smuggling efforts. And this is very important because this is our children, these are our people. We know that that addiction is a disease, and this is the stuff that keeps people sick.
El día de hoy estoy firmando un decreto.
Today, I'm signing a decree to strengthen the National Search Commission in order to expand its care capacity, context analysis, and the acquisition of technological equipment that accompanies the search with scientific evidence.
Con evidencias científicas.
The president also said she will send a reform to Congress on Thursday that would make it easier to identify missing persons and make the number of missing people more transparent. The recently uncovered mass grave was found at a ranch in the town of Teotihuacan. Civilian activists found ashes, bones, and hundreds of items of clothing that are still being checked by authorities, along with ovens possibly used to cremate bodies. Mexico has over 124,000 missing people, according.
That is a staggering number of missing people, a staggering number of missing people. These are some of the reasons that I don't like going over to other countries, because there are different parts of Mexico that are touristy. But if you guys remember, it wasn't too many years ago that a tourist from those very luxury resorts took out jet skis, and they were ambushed by a cartel and slaughtered tourists. So I don't like other countries. I'm sorry. I'm perfectly fine in the freest country in the world, okay? I'm just saying. Nice to see you. I just heard somebody saying hi to Seth. I didn't see you come in. So, Mr. Seth, if you're here, good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. I hope today, I know today's probably not good, just like every other day, but I do hope you do have a good day. As crappy as that sounds, as cliche, I guess I should say, as cliche as that sounds. We have a missing woman in Sarasota right now, and she's been missing quite a bit of time. And this is where it comes down. Like, I wish this mom had seen some of my videos on parents and reporting adult missing persons, you know, in this country, because it's harder than a child, because people have their freedoms to move freely, and they also have their rights to privacy. So if they don't want somebody knowing where they are or knowing that they're even alive or exist, they have that right. So it becomes a lot more complicated to report an adult missing person, and and one that has substance abuse issues to boot, because again, law enforcement, we've seen it time and time again, just decides how this case is. And they bounce this mom that's just trying to find her adult daughter that's been missing well over 6 months. 6 months. And they would not take the report, and bounced her from Sarasota County Sheriff's to the city of Sarasota to Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, back to the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office. It is an absolute nightmare for this lady just to report her daughter missing, to have an investigation. So this is in my own backyard, and there is something that I can start proactively doing in my community to start affecting another county that's bordering my county. And I will be doing that as early as March 25th, when I have an opportunity to be before my county commissioners. I want to make sure that no matter what, if somebody is missing, we take it seriously. And that needs to be the message across this country, because you know what? Too many darn people are falling through the cracks, and it's because we don't want to search for everybody because of resources and lack thereof. And I get that. I get that. But when adults are missing, how are we to report them and salvage any type of evidence with them when we can't even get law enforcement to take the damn report? It's always seems to be an uphill battle. It always seems to be an uphill battle. I think law enforcement is starting to take her case seriously now, but nobody should have to jump through all of this to get help. They just shouldn't. And it's very upsetting and alarming for me to know that this happened in my backyard, and I want to make sure that that kind of stuff doesn't happen on my home turf. So the only way we can make sure that we're advocating for adult missing people, which is where advocation needs to be, because we know when our children are missing, they're reported missing almost immediately, unless, God forbid, there's some nefarious stuff going on. But these adults can't get reported missing because they're adults. There's nobody that can be their voice when they are met with foul play, except the families of those people. And when the families of those people are letting law enforcement know, hey, something's not right, like I said, sometimes you just have to sit your butt in a sheriff's department and refuse to leave a chair until somebody takes your case seriously. And I tell you guys this because it truly is life or death in some of these cases. And some of these law enforcement departments, they don't know the difference. Okay, you got to understand that. They deal with this kind of stuff day in and day out, and people are usually run away, they're in a trap house, 90% of the time that be the case. But that other 10% of the time, people really truly need help. And you, as the family, are the ones that know that. And you, as the family, are the ones that need to be sitting there and screaming through a bullhorn, take me seriously. And if you don't want me to take me seriously, then I'm going to respectfully sit here in this seat for however long it takes you to take my case seriously. Sometimes it just has to be just like that. And I've seen it, and I've helped support sit-ins, okay? And in Orange County, I think it was Orange County or Osceola, I think it was Orange County. We brought the family and a group of people and sat in that sheriff's office until a detective came out and met with the family. Those are the types of things that we advocate for. Maybe they can give Ellie what they need to get these cases solved. Hopefully. I definitely think one of the first things that we need nationwide, and this is especially in our desolate areas, is internet service. In this day and age in 2025, when our internet was created in 1994, we should have we should have internet. Literally, there should not be dead zones unless there's a towering mountain that goes, thousands of feet in the air, and that's understandable. But even in those valleys, there should be some internet. Okay? So I don't understand because, again, I'm a privacy person, but we've already given our privacy away. We have our cars that track us, our watches that track us, our phones that track us. They took away our cash and gave us credit cards. So now they can monitor, like, literally to the penny of what each and every one of us are spending. Okay? So the privacy of us as Americans is gone. Okay? We have no privacy. We only have the illusion thereof. Okay? We only have an illusion thereof and a court order away from somebody knowing exactly what we're doing in our private time that's supposed to be our privacy. So let's quit fooling ourselves and trying to think that we have privacy, which we do not. And now let's move to the stage of acceptance that we have no privacy, and let's put internet everywhere. So when crimes happen, we have something to track these criminals with. Just saying. Just saying. Or we can just have our government give us our privacy back and make it fair for everyone. We could do that. Whichever you prefer, I'm on board with. Yes, privacy went out the windows. I would beg to differ. It did start going out of the window in the 90s, but when we had and again, our countries are corrupt as corrupt can ever be, and I still have questions about the towers because that passed the largest bill for our government to spy on us. Would our government kill people to have that kind of privilege? I don't know. I'm just saying I don't trust them. I don't trust them. After seeing what they're willing to do to win an election, I don't trust them. None of them. I'm an equal opportunity hater of politicians, okay? That's why I'm an advocate and an activist, right? But I love people. Like I love the commissioners here in my community. I just don't like top people because I think that's where a lot of corruption is bred at the top of our major organizations, Department of Children and Family Services, all those things. It's not the people that are down in the trenches, the ones that are working, the managers, the supervisors, the staff. Maybe in some cases, yes, we always have outliers. But it's always the corrupt top that I have a problem with. And trust me, the higher you go, the more the more corruption you find. I'm sorry. It is the truth. It is the truth. Sarasota police take the lead in a search for a 27-year-old woman. This woman is 27 years old. Her name's Felicia Adams. She has been missing since August. She was last seen at the Resurrection House in Sarasota. Her mother, Misty, was telling ABC7 she spent the last 6 months trying to get an official missing persons report filed for her. 6 solid months. That is absolutely, I hope Sarasota County officials are listening, or at least Manatee County that can, share this information over to Sarasota County Sheriff's Office. That is totally and wholly unacceptable. That is totally and wholly unacceptable. Totally and wholly unacceptable. 6 months to get a report filed against her, but faced pushback. The mother believes it's because her daughter is homeless, a homeless adult struggling with addiction. I'm sorry. They're not vulnerable to foul play. They're not vulnerable to death. I mean, she's homeless and a drug addict. She did it to herself, right? She did it to herself. Like, that's frustrating for me. That's really, really frustrating to me. So her mom, one of the first things you do as a parent of a missing child is call police. But ABC7 found that no one, not 2, but 3 local agencies were not taking the lead on the case, even though the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office had officially filed Felicia as missing 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Jurisdiction became the issue. It's funny. Isn't it funny that law enforcement doesn't mind a jurisdictional issue when it benefits them? But it seems like when people need help, if they can have an excuse like jurisdiction, they'll jump all over it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Just some personal experience in Tennessee, not here in Florida. Jurisdiction became the issue. So we reached out to Sarasota Police Department last week. They told us the Sarasota County office was the lead on the case. But when we reached out to Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, they told us since Felicia had last reported seeing her mother by her mother at her Port Charlotte home, that is out of their jurisdiction. So then we contacted the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, but they said Felicia never lived at that home. And that case belongs to Sarasota County Sheriff's Office. They couldn't have done that 6 months ago. We reached back out to Sarasota County Sheriff's Office Thursday for clarification. On Monday morning, the Sarasota Police Department told ABC7 they were not the lead on the case. I've lost trust, Felicia's mom, Misty stated. If I'm in trouble and my babies are in trouble, I can't go to them because is it going to be in their jurisdiction? Michelle Genis, a professor at the University of Louisiana, specializing in missing person cases for over a decade, she told ABC7 these adult cases can get complicated and difficult. Law enforcement locations should not be able to say not it, said Genis. The lack of official guidelines means that allows law enforcement to not have a clear path, she says. Imagine a missing child. This would never happen, right? Because we treat these cases differently because we have universal guidelines, said Genis. The fact that it's been months means that likely much of the evidence has been lost. So again, lots of problems that I see, and this is definitely a case that I think is so close to my home that it does need to be discussed openly at my county commission meeting so it doesn't happen in Manatee County. I think whenever you go to a law enforcement office, they should accept a report and transfer that report to whatever jurisdiction needs to have that report. And it's up to that police department to do that, right? So we have to look at some other reasonable solutions here. We have a crisis in this country, and it's bred by substance abuse. There are a lot of homeless people that aren't even on substances. It's because we are out of control on pricing for essential needs, forcing people to live in their vehicles. This is the American dream, don't you know? So we need some guidance and guidelines, and we need that from the state of Florida. And we need that from specific counties. But I don't want to hear anymore that jurisdictional issues. I think when it comes to missing persons or missing children, the place that is nearest to you that you can report it, if it needs to be transferred, then there needs to be a transfer process. There needs to be a transfer process. But telling somebody that you can't file a report, that you got to go here or go there, that is ludicrous. That's almost what happened in the Gabby Petito, if not the exact same thing. And days were lost. Days were lost. So it can't happen anymore. It can't happen anymore. Forever's Nikki's mom gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. If you received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership, don't forget to tell Forever and Nikki's mom, thank you and welcome to this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. All right, I see that we have a few up here. I missed a lot. Aw, Andrea, it's nice to see you, my love. I hope you and the hubby is doing well. Did you see my Delilah video? Aww. She's got cute dogs too. Pamela, oh, good gracious. God bless you, love. Thank you so much for your gracious contribution. God bless you. Oma, we've already said hi to Oma. Nani McPoppins telling everybody good morning, coffee beans. You know who coined the coffee beans? It is Steffers. She comes in. Sometimes she mostly watches from the bushes, but she comes in every now and again. And she's the one that coined the coffee beans. I just thought I'd let you guys know that. Some people don't know the history of that. Kimberly, it's nice to see you. Thank you, Betty, for everything you do. Absolutely. God bless you. Brown Eye Girl, responsible for this wonderful button. God bless you for all you do for Sebastian. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Deanna says, thank you for all you do. Thank you, Deanna. Oh, Letha, it's nice to see you. I've missed you too. Thank you for keeping me in your prayers. I do truly appreciate that. And of course, Nikki's mom. And then one other one, our beautiful Melanie up in the house, gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. Don't forget to tell Melanie thank you and God bless each and every one of you. Welcome to this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. All right. All right. All right, so many of you guys have been with me since we started this journey on a case known to us as Sebastian Rogers, which we've learned is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, a name that his dad gave him. And we've learned through this process, his father's the one that took care of him mostly. And when he was first born, had this amazing connection with his son. And why is that so important? It's important because many of our cases we see come from broken homes, fatherless homes. And here he had an amazing father. We learned that almost up front because the green shirt interview, even the mom and her husband had indicated that his dad was his biggest rooter and right there on the front line, rooting his son on, which already painted a great picture of Seth. And Seth, he comes from humble means, and he moved to the area so he could be in his son's life. That was the only purpose of him moving to Tennessee, was to be in his son's life and to make sure that he gets to see his son every opportunity he possibly can. As we've learned throughout this case, there were some frictions behind the scenes that were kind of not well known to the public, not well known to the community, but were well known by a few, such as CPS workers and some teachers at school. But those issues were never conveyed to his father, so his father just assumed that he was just a normal kid, becoming a teenager, balking toward authority slightly. I mean, it's his son. His son is sweet and smart and doesn't really do a whole lot, likes to, stay to himself if possible, play games with his dad, go fishing, go to the hunting range, do normal stuff as well. But for the most part, he wasn't really in any kind of trouble. So his dad, when he brought up that he really didn't want to go home, his dad just chalked it up to being normal teenage stuff, as many of us probably would. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth. And it sounds like after they moved into the Stafford Court property, things started getting, really tense inside the household. It looked like the family unit was breaking apart. There was friction between the mom and the stepfather. There was friction between the mom and his dad. There was a point when they wanted him to go live with his father as far back as 2022, but it took his dad about 14 months to get him situated in the school system so he could take the therapeutic classes he needs for his conditions, and as well as doing, homeschooling for his schoolwork, and until he was able to transition into a normal school type of environment. It was going to be temporary in nature as we understand it. And his father was very excited about having his son. He knew it was going to be an adjustment having his son there all the time, as opposed to the 2 weeks, every other week, as well as the school holidays such as summer break and things of that nature. He was aware that it was going to be an adjustment, but he was prepared for that adjustment, and he was trying to make it as humanly comfortable for his son as possible. He was really looking out for his son's best interest, not only on the educational level, but the emotional, mental level as well. And shortly before he was supposed to start going and living with his father full time, he up and disappears. And that's kind of what brought us to this case, but it really wasn't. I mean, yes, it's a teenage boy that allegedly, this is the story we originally heard. He walked out of the house. The mom and her husband were not entertaining any other possibilities because that's the only assumption that made sense in their mind. They were very proud that nobody would ever dare break into their homes, so that eliminated that option right away. And then while on the Nancy Grace show, we learned that only nobody really had a key to their house, just their immediate family. So that kind of put another level of curiosity on this whole situation. And that was kind of up front. Then by March 14th, we had this jaw-dropping video from Nick Barris that appeared to have some lights on the outside or to the side of the Proudfoot home in a common area leading to an unknown vehicle. This was very concerning because we have been confirmed by law enforcement as well as the parents that there was no forced entry into that home. We also learned on the Smiley Story World interview that if somebody had walked in or tried to break in at that front door, the cameras across the street would be able to see a shadow or a figure or the light of the door opening, but it had not. And that was when he was referring to somebody breaking into his home. But the inference could be made that if somebody's walking out of the home, those details would also be seen. And they were not. So that brings in the question, why did the parents believe that he walked out the front door and not any other door? And the reason is because it appears that Sebastian doesn't have a house key, which is another odd question as to why a child that's 15 years old that lives in that home doesn't have a house key. Because we all know that those door locks you have to replace the batteries in those door locks. And what happens if one day he comes home and the door has no battery? How's he supposed to get into the home? So a lot of questions I have about the whole situation on why they thought he walked out the front door as opposed to any other door, but that's their statement. And all other doors were locked. All other windows were locked. These are statements that the mom and her husband made. So now we get to the point where this case has kind of gone very much national and international. And people, especially from Chris's job, found out and went on a couple of Facebook groups and made a post. And that post reads, let me find it. I requested that he be removed from the crane by 10 or 11 a.m. He was replaced and he stormed off the job site. We started work at 7 a.m. And that came from his direct supervisor, Thomas. I don't have a last name for Thomas. And many people try to say that this Thomas was not legitimate or a troll or somebody trying to stir the pot. Well, that was way, way, way back then. I always believed that message because of the timing of that message It came right in line when people started learning of information and realizing that there were lies going on, and some of those people wanted to correct those misunderstandings. So, a person that we know that worked with Chris was one of the first people that responded to give us this indication of what time they started on the job and what truly happened when he left his job to go home. We learned that he never let anybody at his job know that he had a missing son when he clocked in around 6:30 in the morning, which appears to be after he got off the phone with law enforcement. And seems very suspect that that wouldn't be the timeline of events because of everything that we know. And then there was this conversation that was recorded with another person that worked with Chris that tried to identify himself as his direct supervisor, although he was not at the time. He has just been recently promoted after this child disappeared. And he seems to be very, very, very personal about this case and about how people view Chris, which is really highly suspect because all of the other people that have worked with Chris really didn't care for him. We've talked to many people, people down in Alabama that work, excuse me, shouldn't say they weren't from Alabama, but had worked in Alabama. We did talk to, I personally talked to a bartender in Alabama. So I have a good understanding of, you know, how these things happen. Not every time are you going to be at every job with every single person you are from one job to another. This company is nationwide, or at least that's my understanding. And there's a certain sector that is, an area that Chris can contract jobs in, and so he was contracted in Memphis for the St. Jude's project when all of this stuff was transpiring. The problem is that it wasn't until law enforcement visited the St. Jude's or spoke to his bosses that they realized a child was missing. But that morning things just did not seem right. Some of the employees noticed this major behavioral and attitude issue that was exuding from Chris Proudfoot. Why didn't he just take the day off like any normal person would when they have a child missing? I don't know the answer to that. And after learning that the child was missing, why in the world would he even clock into work? Why wouldn't he immediately go to a manager and try to find some resolution to get him the heck out of there? Or he could have just walked off the job, and got a write-up. I don't think anybody would write up a man when they found out the reason why somebody walked off the job. Family always comes first. Always. Your family comes above any job that you have. Even if you are the breadwinner, your family comes first because money can't buy your family back. Stephanie, thank you so much for gifting 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your Bullhorn Betty membership, don't forget to tell Stephanie thank you. And for the 5 beautiful people that are now part of this coffee club, this crazy crew we call the coffee club, welcome to the Insane Asylum. Just, moving it up a little bit. So let's get back to one of the statements, because I think that look at this. I'm not going down quick enough. I'm so sorry, guys. Don't forget to hit a thumbs up button. Thank you, Michelle. Michelle gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. If you received your Bullhorn Betty membership, don't forget to tell Michelle thank you. And welcome to this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. It is nice to see you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so, so, so very much. I appreciate that. So we heard the conversation with this guy that sounded completely unprofessional, not what I would think a supervisor or a foreman of a multi-million-dollar corporation would be speaking. However, I digress. This was their conversation. You could tell this guy absolutely knew Chris, but there are some issues, and this comes from Kim B. And it was on I can't remember which YouTube or Facebook group. It might even have been on my Facebook group, but it says this. It says Thomas never knew he was married or had a child. How come Jeff knows so much? And I thought, you know what? You're right. This is a critical detail because it confirms one thing: Thomas was real. It also confirmed that Thomas works on the job. It also, his statements were also made early in the case, and no one disputed those claims, not even Mr. Proudfoot. And that's not her, that's mine. When it went to this critical, this is critical. She only wrote, Thomas never knew he was married or had a child. How come Jeff knows so much? That's all that Kim B wrote in that post. But the other commentary is kind of my thought process, because this is critical. It confirms Thomas is real, because many people were disputing that statement that Justin went over, I think, last night. And it proves that he works at the job. Even the statement from the guy that was on this interview, and I still think it's awfully suspect that somebody at that job site would give Heather this Yahoo's phone number to talk as if he's the supervisor, knowing good damn well he was not the supervisor, and she should have gotten Thomas's information and spoke directly with Thomas, because it seems like Thomas knew exactly what was going on that job site. Jeff knows so much because CP wrote his script, allegedly, and in my opinion, I don't think he wrote his script, because what I think he did is I think that was barstool banter. I think that whenever I heard his conversation with him, those are conversations you're having over beer. Just saying. So I think those are barstool commentaries and rants that he was just regurgitating that Chris told him. That's truly what I believe. Also, this call with Heather came later. It came later. So Thomas came immediately out, made some statements about Chris's behavior on the job and what time he was at work or was on his crane. And no one disputes it, not even Mr. Proudfoot. And then a month or so later, Heather calls this Yahoo, which I believe the call in and of itself was suspicious. And it makes me question a few things because of the way he made these statements. He says he comes home from the bar at 11:30 at night, which implies he had alcohol. That's one thing we always have to be cautious of, because people's inhibitions or awareness of their surroundings are low. So we have him coming in at 11:30. He professes that Chris's truck is there. That means nothing, because it wasn't until after that allegedly Chris was off the phone with with Katie. So I'm not really, that has nothing to do with my timeline, whether the truck was there at 11:30 or not, for my personal timeline. But he says one statement that drives me nuts, and I wish Heather would have clarified on it, and it was that he got up and was at the job site at 5:15. My next question would be, how do you know? Were you also at the job at 5:15? And that would have kind of at least told us something. But I'd like to know who Jeff is, what his job title was, what time he showed up on that job on the February 26th, and what his arrival time to the job site was. Because this will clarify if he physically saw Mr. Proudfoot arrive at that job. Because from my trip there, my conversations there, this is 100% false. The 5:15 time is 100% false. So I want clarification on that, but we probably will never get it. It's wishful thinking. But I want you guys to hear it, because even this Yahoo acknowledges Thomas. acknowledges him. So let me pull this up. This is our beautiful Justin. Give him applause. But let's listen to, actually, you know what? Let me go to this one. Let's listen to him building up to the point where he references Thomas.
And it still is that I know Chris pretty fucking well.
Yeah.
And he is not fucking.
So how does he, and it comes back to Kim B's statement, how does Thomas know Chris so well, but Thomas doesn't know Chris very well at all, but somehow Jeff knows him really well. The only place that my understanding is that Chris makes friends is at the local bar. So this is a barstool buddy to me. If you ask me, his behavior, everything is a barstool buddy. But Thomas is the one. Why would Thomas be coming out and saying everything as his supervisor? We knew Thomas was a supervisor on that job. And now we got a PI calling this hothead in Yahoo that doesn't know his ass from his elbow because everything he's stating is categorically untrue. It didn't happen. And it definitely didn't happen the way he's describing it. So clearly he didn't get it from the news and he didn't get it from social media. So that's only leaving really slim options of where he got this horribly wrong information.
Yeah. Trust me, he would leave his old lady before he did some dumb shit like that. And we've actually had that fucking discussion.
Oh, you've had a discussion?
Yeah, I know the
Very
discussion with
interesting.
Katie's not a big surprise though.
Coworkers about him.
Like, he was fucking unhappy and there's shit going on. And look,
He's not happy and shit was going on.
Nope,
and I'm just going to leave, dude. I'll start over again. I was like, fuck it, do you?
And is that where the ultimatum was
It's coming up. It's about to come up in the next, I think, 12 or 30 seconds.
given? It's him or me.
And I do believe that's probably about the gist of how things unfolded, honestly. Because I heard it was very, very contentious. They were not doing well as a family unit.
It's him or me. Is that the ultimatum that was given?
That's your MO, ain't it?
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, but I can vouch for that man's whereabouts.
Yeah.
Curious how you got my phone number.
You know what? If I could tell you a name, I would, but he didn't tell me his name, and I didn't ask him.
So she has no idea if the person she spoke to was a friendly to Chris or just a newbie that says, no, this guy knows everything. He'll be able to tell you. And it's just so happens to be the barstool buddy of CP.
Well, it's not this fuck ass Thomas, but that's okay.
Also,
see, right there.
A name,
Listen.
I would, but he didn't tell me his name, and I didn't ask him.
Well, it's not this fuck ass Thomas, but that's okay.
It's probably F-ass Thomas. F-ass Thomas. So what did that just do? That just acknowledged that Thomas truly is a person that was on their job site. He was one of the first people that spoke out when the calls at their job was just overwhelming. He comes out to the public and just tells the entire public what he has to keep telling each individual person calling the company. And so we know that Thomas would have the records, is the one that took Chris off the job. Wouldn't that be the person that needs to be spoken with, not some guy that you got a number from a guy? I'm just saying. So we have that, and here is the spot for Justin for All on Clutch Them Pearls last night, showing, and see how it says allegedly Chris Proudfoot's co-workers post, because that was all we knew at the time. That's all we knew at the time, allegedly. This newest release where Heather got a phone number from a guy from that job site, that even though this guy's a Yahoo, and I don't believe half of the crap coming out of his mouth, he does confirm some things. And those things are Thomas is no longer allegedly. This is Chris Proudfoot's co-worker's post and his thoughts. And it says, I requested he be removed. This is the guy. Thomas is the guy. I requested he be removed from the crane. By 10 or 11 a.m., he was replaced and stormed off the job site. We started work at 7 a.m. This is no longer allegedly. This is now confirmed that Thomas works there. Thomas is the one that came out. Any type of cleanup thereafter is just that, cleanup. Because when he came out with this, not one response by Sebastian's mom or her husband to dispute these claims. Nobody from the job came out and disputed this man's claims. And then now all of a sudden, a month or so later, Heather reaches out to this Yahoo and he tells them that he arrived at the job at 5:15, and instead of corroborating the information or waiting until she got those reports that she was requesting, that he clearly had no authorization. Every time she asked him, he wouldn't even respond to her about the which to me was a red flag. It was a red flag to me when you're calling for reports as a private investigator and the subject, like say Christopher, give her permission to reach out or something like that, or even not. But being a private investigator on a missing child's case, she might be able, under confidentiality, to preview those work records. And he glossed over it, would not even respond to related to the work records, just kept her talking. He played her. Go back and listen to that whole conversation. He was very clever and he played her. And he got her so twisted that she forgot to even have him state or not state he has authorization to release those records. If you listen to it, they got her twisted. That's why. They got her twisted. He was very clever in the way he was able to handle that call. Now let's listen to just a few moments of Justin for All. Clutch Them Pearls, if you guys have not been over to his channel.
I believe this person, Thomas, more than I believe the guy in the phone call that's cussing and saying he's riding on his Carly, because I can see Edgar getting off, them taking him out of work.
And I don't blame that, Jeff. I blame him for trusting the stepfather, because the stepfather has proved not to be trustworthy. We can't even definitively say where he was. We know that it's possible that he, and again, this is all allegedly. I have not been, I heard the story right along with everybody else. I don't know who this lady is that went on this date with him in Nashville, or if that was true or is true, right? I personally do not know. I was not there. I did not physically see these people at this bar 2 months after Sebastian disappeared. Would it shock me? No, it would not shock me. It would not shock me in the least if this was legitimate. But we have no way to corroborate it. And if we can't corroborate it, we can't use it and dangle it over somebody's head when we don't know if it's true or false. Does it sound sus? Yes, it does. A lot of things sound sus. It doesn't mean that it happened, or it happened the way people say it did. Was the story believable? In our minds, they are, but we look at that guy like he's got 3 heads. So naturally, because of our own personal bias, whether you think that's what it is or not, I can assure you it is. And there's nothing wrong with being biased. You know somebody's a liar. You know their story doesn't make sense. You know something's wrong. You're allowed to be biased. It's your God-given right to be biased. But at the end of the day, is that the reason why it's so easy for us to believe the story? I believe it. But is it because of my bias? It might be. Because I don't have not one scintilla other than somebody saying that this, some lady in some chat. I mean, granted, it was, Justin's, but we have to remove Justin from the equation too, because if he doesn't know this lady, which I don't know if he does or not, I didn't ask him. If he doesn't know this lady, then he's kind of caught like we are. We have somebody in a chat making salacious statements. Is there any supporting information that can back those statements up? Did she take a selfie? Like, hey, she's, or can you take a, I don't know. If there's nothing supporting the claim, we can't keep running with the claim. You see what I'm saying? So is it possible? It to me it is, and it makes sense because many of us heard. I'm sure you guys have heard the rumors too. I'm no different than you. I hear what you guys hear. Sometimes you guys hear more than me because I'm focused on other things or other talking discussion topics. But did you guys remember ever hearing that Chris no longer worked for St. Jude's anymore? And it's going to come to a different topic of conversation that we're going to have a little later. But do you guys remember that I heard a rumor a while back that he never went back to the St. Jude's project, and they contracted him a little closer to home in Nashville. Did you guys remember hearing that a while ago? I did. I didn't forget. It's in my notes. I didn't confirm or anything with it, so to me it's just a rumor, but do you guys remember hearing that? Okay, good. Because now that kind of gives that whole statement a little more weight from that lady, right? If he's in Nashville and he met a lady in Nashville. So that's why I chose to speak of it, even though I don't have any way to corroborate it. But I'm hoping I put enough alerts on it that there's no corroboration of those facts, and and unless the lady's willing to come forward or willing to give some type of off the record confirmation that can be verified, then yeah, it's just a statement, and we can't determine whether the statement is true or false. So there is that. There is that. I'm looking at, X. I'm looking at a lot of different social medias, getting some understanding of what people's opinions are to see if they match mine, and if they don't match mine, why and what their reasoning is behind. Sometimes you can unearth some additional information that you weren't considering, right? So you always want to live, you don't want to live in a bubble. So you don't want to just look at things that appease your mindset or appease, whatever your talking points are. You want to look at opposition as well, because sometimes in many cases, I've looked at opposition and got additional details that actually help either support or change how I feel about a case. And one of those things happened at the beginning of the case, because at the beginning of the case, I truly thought that because of the information that I was getting from, confidential people, that it appeared that it was Chris that just and I don't want to use the word hated Sebastian, but it sure looked like it, but definitely highly disliked this boy. So some of my very first theories on this case that we discussed publicly was that of Mr. Proudfoot breaking into his own house after his wife went to bed and doing something with Sebastian. But because some of the information came out from not by none other than the hate channels, stating how Katie was the only person home alone with his child. When you started looking at the facts of the case, we learned that that is most likely true. She was the only person inside this house at the time when she returned back from the Texas Roadhouse up until this child went to bed. And even when this child was reported missing, still the only person in the house. And so that changed my theory quite a bit. It never removed, the two theories I had of the stepfather. It just moved them lower on the list at the bottom. And if new information, reared its ugly head to support some of those theories that were on the bottom of the list, they would start rising up in the order of probability. So we do have changes in what we from the beginning. I can tell you from the beginning of this case to where I sit now, there is a lot that has changed in my mind, or I should say has become clearer in my mind. Not really changed, but has become clearer. And as the clarity has come, those statements and theories have been fine-tuned. So here's a message on this post, and I don't think that this is in opposition at all, but just the reasons why I'm always searching on all these other social media is to find, things that we can either agree with or disagree with, and try to understand why we're disagreeing, and do we have a legitimate purpose for disagreeing. And this says Christopher Proudfoot is telling us exactly what happened here in this clip, in my opinion. Now, if you're trying to insinuate that someone was in my house or someone took him out of my house, then say that. Nobody said that. But what would be wrong if they did say that? Is he automatically thinking that someone is insinuating that either he or someone he knows took Sebastian out of the house? Otherwise, why would he be so defensive if they thought someone broke in and kidnapped him? I think he's telling what happened, and I agree with Grace F analysis on this as well. Period. So I thought we'd bring this up. Do I already have it up? I think I do. This is from Roxy's World. Okay, I think this is it. And this is credited to Roxy's World. Roxy's World. Let me go ahead and throw this down into the chat. So if you guys would like to go over there and check this out for yourself, you may.
Want to know, what do you think happened to Sebastian? What do you think happened?
I don't know. For the love of God, I wish I had an answer. I wished we had something to go off of.
So,
but we
Chris,
don't.
I asked Seth this a few weeks ago, and so just no thought, in your gut, spit it out. Doesn't matter if it sounds completely off the wall. What is your knee-jerk reaction to what happened?
Sebastian walked out of the house, stepped off the porch, and has vanished into thin air. That is what I think, because that is what I know.
But what do you mean you know?
I've been part of the investigation since day one.
Okay.
And if anybody else out there that's got some information in regards to where Sebastian has went, because last time I checked, there's not one shred of evidence.
He knows he walked off the porch is what I'm asking.
I'm telling you, unless this kid is just in the thin air on my front porch, he sure had to go somewhere, so he had to walk off the front porch. Now, if you're trying to insinuate somebody was in my house or somebody taking a child outside of my house, say
I'm not
that.
insinuating anything. I'm saying
So he did get very defensive about somebody coming into his house or taking this child out. Is this leakage? I think that we did have something that was stated to the guy that was interviewed, because with Heather, because let me see if I can find this. Hold on. Why is this not showing up? There we go. Let me look for one other thing, because this is always since I've heard this, let me rephrase that. Since I heard this audio from Heather and this unknown person that we believe is Jeffrey, and we have no confirmation of that. Oh, Lisa, thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thanks to whoever gave me a membership. Aw. Aw, well, welcome to this crazy crew we call a coffee club. It's official. You're part of the insane asylum. You're part of the insane asylum. Love it. Love it. Let me look for this one statement. Hold on. Let me go up. Let me go up. Let me go back to the beginning. Let me run this. Let me run this. Okay. And that's the first? Okay, here it is. So this is what has really bothered me. Because like I said, I feel like this is a conversation that somebody's sitting on a bar stool next to Chris having while they're getting drunk, talking about what's going on in their life. It's not like this is not a public situation. And to me, it sounds like somebody that's sitting in a bar stool next to him. Hey, Tracy, thank you so much. God bless you, love bug. Thank you. And we'll go back through all of these in just a few moments and thank everybody, you know, on air and stuff like that. But I feel like this was while they're sitting there, it's like, you know, you can't believe when would I have had time to unalive him and dig a grave and throw him in a grave, you know, something like that. Like I could see this conversation happening on the phone while his friends calling to check in on him, or sitting at the the local bar at the bar stool next to him having this conversation. We all know that these things are conversations like this are had as two buds are usually tossing back a beer, right? So when does he actually see this guy? There's no guarantee that this guy lives anywhere near Christopher, because he's contracted on this job, which clearly come from different states. All these people are from different states in many cases. He would leave his old lady before he did some BS like that. It sounds like he was leaving her. It sounds like their marriage was on the rocks. It sounds like they were dividing their assets. It sounds like they were heading for divorce before this happened. It sounds like he was leaving. He was leaving. What was going on inside that house? But listen. Where is it? Where is it? Did I miss it? Hold on. Listen. He's not I thought it said he's not perfect, but on here it says, I know Chris pretty well. This is in the transcript. I know Chris pretty well, and he's not a murderer. Yeah, trust me. That's what it says in the transcript. But here is where I have the biggest problem. Right here. Yep, there. Are you guys hearing that? Because it's not moving on this. Share this tab. Oh, I'm in the wrong tab. That's why. Here we go. Sorry.
If he came back under the influence, let's say, that's not going to be very good either.
Yeah, I was hitting the wrong thing. I wasn't. You guys should have sound now. I was on the wrong tab. I got 2 tabs open and I forgot. 2 at the same exact tabs with the same transcript, and I'm reading this one and playing the other one. Let me go back to the one to this one, and we'll go to it. Okay, sorry guys. Sorry. It was just I had the wrong tab open. You guys should hear it now. But here's the problematic statement right here.
It's not going to be good either.
There's no way he drove to Nashville, murdered a kid, fucking buried the motherfucker, came back and was on the site for 5 years.
That is always going to be the statement that I have a problem with, because nobody, like, I think something happened. I think in my back of my mind, without a doubt, and I make sure I'm very clear on this, these are my opinions and my opinions alone. But I absolutely believe that something happened to Sebastian. He hasn't been heard from in a year. His mom and her husband haven't been forthcoming. They've ran away from home. They've exhibited weird behaviors that we would attribute to guilt and people that have guilty knowledge. And so of what I've maintained, we don't know. My personal viewpoints are a child's disappeared for over a year. There's no hide nor hair of him and doesn't have any prescriptions. You guys know where my mind is going. You know where my mind is going. I truly believe that somebody in that household hurt this child. And we have supporting information for that, and it's called CPS reports, as well as the 287 pages of counselor notes that are pretty shocking, to say the least. I don't think Sebastian felt love in that household. And I feel like he felt his mom and her husband hated him. I think he was hyper aware that he felt his mom and her husband hated him. And this was long before he went missing. That's a problem. And then we have statements like this coming from somebody that appears to speak with Chris, but has all the details of the case factually incorrect. So it sounds like to me he has also been deceived and manipulated. And a few searches in Google can clarify a lot for this guy. But this was almost a year ago when this was recorded. Not quite, but almost. We haven't heard from this Jeffrey since. Okay? So he either no longer believes it, because he seemed like he was a staunch supporter, or something else. It doesn't seem like he's very much public with these same sentiments anymore, is my point. But how did he hear? Who made the revelation? Because remember, guys, who was it that first started talking about death with Seth? Who? CP. What are we going to do? Walks in the house, and within 30 minutes, what are we going to do if this takes a turn? What do you mean a turn? If we find out he's dead? Almost immediately. He had only been gone for a few hours at this point. I just want that to resonate with everybody's mind. He had only been gone for a few hours. And the stepfather's already talking about what are they going to do if he's dead. He literally said that. Yes, Prayer Warrior. He literally said that to Seth. Within 30 minutes of arriving to that house that day on the 26th, February 26th. Yes. So I'm having some problems with the statements that this guy is making, because when you apply what he knows as fact and what is well known as fact in just Google and social media, take social media out of the equation. Just Google and mainstream media, right? If you take social media out, what is being said? There's no tracks. The only person that's saying that there's tracks that disappear is the stepfather. Law enforcement is saying no. Seth is saying no. Everybody that the EMA director is saying no. The only person that's talking about these tracks being Sebastian is one person. That's it. So it makes you wonder. So let's hear what Lily believes. We already listened to what she believes is the statement that CP has made, and I got to say, it is a little concerning, because you hear some statement like that where he's very offensive about somebody coming into his house and kidnapping Sebastian. They remember at the very beginning, they didn't want any criminal behavior whatsoever. They were adamant that this was not criminal because they didn't want the investigation. I truly believe they didn't want the investigation. If you look at other missing teens in and around Tennessee, you don't get this level of commitment from law enforcement with resources. So when they called him in missing, I think they were expecting just to be handed a piece of paper and call us when your son comes home or if he appears. That's typically what we get for a lot of these law enforcement bodies around this country. When you have a reported child, there's so many reported children, they don't do anything. Well, this particular body jumped into action and pulled out all the stops and all the resources to bring Sebastian home. And day in and day out, they were being met with some weird circumstances, such as no scent of a shoeless child. That in and of itself does not make sense, because if a child's if it has is barefoot or has socks on, the scent should be overwhelmingly more powerful than if he had shoes on. So again, doesn't make sense. And law enforcement truly didn't believe it made sense. Otherwise, in my opinion, they would not have got the Amber Alert, because we realize how strict of criteria the Amber Alert is. And I think that they had the video of the lights in that common area literally the first day. I think they saw them, and they tried to keep that under wraps until Nick Barris got a hold of him and released him. And then it was pretty serious at that point. We saw the major 180 from Nick Barris, and that has been an issue since. Also from Jill on X, it says, watching the reporter room calling out a handful of Katie's many lies. Another one from Nancy Grace that's always stood out to me is Katie stating that she's accompanying, this is her statement, accompanying my husband back to work. While Topher states in the same interview that the job is up in the air, I ask, did she accompany him back to a job he didn't have? Question mark. As of this interview, he did not know if he still had a job. And the word on the streets is he never returned to this job. In fact, it's alleged he was put on a job closer to home in Nashville. But she also went because she was helping to search, since he could be anywhere and everywhere. And that statement has always bothered me when Katie had said that on the Nancy Grace show, because why would they be in Horn Lake, Mississippi searching for their son if they had nothing to do with it? And that right there, that specific area, comes back to only one person. Again, doesn't make sense from where I sit. Doesn't make sense from where I sit. Nancy, reporter room, all of you're on the same page, in my opinion. because this case is leading the way it's leading, and people that want to obstruct justice and cause interference are going to try to push a will that doesn't make sense, and we've watched it unfold by these hate channels, and we're all sitting here saying, how can they not see this, or how can they, because they don't want to. They see it, but it's not profitable enough for them. What's profitable enough for these hate channels is drama, being nasty, getting gangs of people to bully other people into submission, knowing that they have power to do that to other people. What does that sound like? It sounds like an abusive man, doesn't it? Sounds like an abusive man. A narcissistic, mentally and physically abusive man. And that's what I consider these hate channels. So let's go to the Nancy Grace. Let's hear these these statements. These statements from Katie about why she is, there it is. Here, I think it, did I lose my volume? Huh. I think I'm right at the section actually on this.
Have you guys been out looking for Sebastian?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
We were given information that you guys have left the home. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
If you look at Katie's face, she knows she's wrong. Listen to how she answers this. Let me go back.
We're given information that you guys have left the home.
Look at her face.
Is that true?
Look at Katie's face.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I'm going back to work.
You're going back to work. What about you, Miss Proudfoot?
No, I'm not going back to work. Not yet, at least.
Look how she's acting. No, I'm not going back to work, at least not yet, at least.
Did you leave the home also, Miss Proudfoot?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
To accompany my husband going back to work, and then I'm coming back.
Okay, when will you be back? Do you know yet?
No, not yet.
Are you concerned about being away while the search is ongoing?
Absolutely, I am.
Then why are you going?
Because my son could be anywhere, and we're looking everywhere and anywhere.
Why there, though? Why in Horn Lake, Mississippi, or Memphis, Tennessee? Because the only connection to those areas is Mr. Proudfoot. That doesn't make sense to me. Now let's listen. Let me get up here and get the transcript. Wherever the transcript may be. There it is. All right. Let's search for Up in the Air. Okay, let's listen. This is up front. This is at the very beginning of this interview. So if she's accompanying him back to work, you would think that he would be working. No? Let's listen. Is he even working for her to leave the house to accompany her husband back to his job? Does he have a job? Let's find out.
Working at the St. Jude Children's Hospital construction project.
Yes, I'm very familiar with St. Jude's. You said you were working there. Are you no longer working there?
Right now, that's up in the air.
Okay, so if that's up in the air, then how can we have this?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
To accompany my husband going back to work, and then.
So 20 minutes later, all of a sudden, They forgot he's not employed or his job's up in the air. 20 minutes later, they forgot that glaring detail. So now the whole reason that she's left the house doesn't make sense in my book. In my book. Now we're going to get over to the photos. And I know that they're trying to identify a car from the Texas Roadhouse, and trying to accompany that with a car potentially seen at 3 a.m. in their neighborhood. And if it truly is a Honda Accord, a gray Honda Accord, those things are a dime a dozen. And I probably wouldn't be focusing so much on the Texas Roadhouse until we can confirm that it is possible as a potential car. I did see some overlays, so it looks like we're making headway in that department. But still, I didn't see a missing tail light in the vehicle that was in their community. I didn't see a busted tail light or a tail light missing from the vehicle that was parked on the road. So I have a funny feeling what we're going to most likely find out is that the car that was in appearance in the Texas Roadhouse is most likely not the vehicle that was seen on the outside of the Proudfoot home. Could it be a car similar to it? My answer would be, based on some of the preliminary overlays that the mob crew is doing, it is possible. It is possible that this is the car. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. And somebody's saying my daughter has a Honda Accord, a 2023. She says it's exact to her. And this is, let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, let's go down just a little bit. And there is, come on, it's not, it's just going to let me keep going. Hold on, I'm trying to get it pulled down, but it's not allowing me to pull it down. And every time I pull it down, it goes back up. So there is the mysterious car, but I don't see any lights, brake lights out of order on this vehicle that was observed in the neighborhood. So I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. There's also this statement that was also in the mob crew, and it says, Chris, whenever you mirrored the vehicle at the Texas Roadhouse, the tail light was out. Someone please let him know this. Thanks. Love mob crew. I don't believe it's the same vehicle. I really don't. I haven't excuse me, I have it backwards. The one in the video, it appears, is missing a tail light. The one at the restaurant is the one that's not missing the tail light. So I don't know. They could be the same. They could not be the same. I did not watch this video, but I find it highly unlikely that the car that was observed at 3 a.m. is going to be the car that was circling a Texas Roadhouse when they were there. So I'm sorry, I'm playing the probability and statistical game when it comes to this car. And I think that because I don't think there's really anything nefarious in the Texas Roadhouse video. And I know that there's a lot of people focusing a lot of their time on the Texas Roadhouse, but I'm not really in that group of people. I don't believe the Texas Roadhouse. I don't believe the people that are the yellow shirt guy, the green hoodie lady, the people saying that they think Chris is on the outside of it. I don't think it doesn't support other factual information that we know. So there's just a lot of stuff that I'm, not that people don't have a right to talk about it, and it may come up, it may be relevant later when I have another piece of the puzzle put in place. It may all come to life and light, and it may really be a specific thing. But right now, to me, the Texas Roadhouse has no significance in my world right now. Maybe something will change where it will be, but at the present time, just not. And that includes the cars that are seen coming and going. My son says, look like Alexis, look at the front, side, rear features. Yeah, it could be. There are a lot of cars, especially when you get into the sedans. There literally has just about the same body style in just about every make of sedan. So, not that all of them are identical. There are cues and clues for law enforcement to determine, and they usually come with the little windows in the back and the headlights. There are some features that are only specific features to certain makes of cars that can be a telltale sign for law enforcement to determine fairly easy what type of car it is. So it is my belief that if law enforcement sees this, has enhanced this, even just by the light, like the brake lights and the little window in the back alone, and maybe even the front window. I can't remember which window it is. It's one of the windows, the side windows, that determine what the make and model of car is. It was very. I watched a little mini doc on it once, many years ago, long before it was in true crime, and that's how I know that there are significant features on vehicles to help law enforcement determine what make and model the vehicle is, just by certain areas of the car. That's what I learned. So that's what we've kind of got here. As you can see, this appears to be in the neighborhood, and it appears to be having one brake light that's not working. Again, I've got to look at this footage because this is what they are saying is the suspect 3 a.m. vehicle. I don't have this information to review it by myself wholeheartedly. Just sit down and watch the video and slow it down. If anybody can get a clean copy of this particular video with these images on it, I'd greatly be in your debt to have it so I can review it in its raw form. So if anybody could get that, I'd greatly appreciate it. You can send it to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. River, you get a spot on the Bullhorn Betty channel today. I just lost my audio bringing up Facebook, of course, but you get to be debuted on the Bullhorn Betty channel for your avocation for Sebastian Rogers and getting all these beautiful photos of him smiling. And I think one of the biggest things we can take away is his nose, his eyes, nose, and smile. I think define him quite a bit. I think it defines him quite a bit. And there's our beautiful River. It's nice to see you, River. And this is another one, but I'm going to have to, let me break this down. I got to take this off stage and then I've got to add it back so we have audio. We are almost to the end without any issues, but we know StreamYard.
I mean, we've said it before, he likes fishing and things like that, but
cats, boy loves.
I want y'all to note that she said, like we've said before, he likes fishing. They didn't say that. The bio dad did. That's why I said you can tell that they're watching everything that comes out on the news about Sebastian.
So this was back, and as stated, this was back when these yahoos actually cared about the truth. No information has been presented to, like, for example, we have 3 parents here, okay? The only parent that has publicly taken a polygraph test and produced his work records to the entire world to look at and scrutinize was Seth Rogers. So no actual relevant information has ever came out from a reliable source that would change a person's mind from this point in the investigation to now going over there and help them, except one thing. You know what that is? It's called money. It's funny how when money was dangled over this fat cow, all of the sudden, it's funny how they don't mind switching sides and beating up an innocent father. No additional information has come out from the time they started covering this case and actually having an understanding of what was going on. You know what happened? They were pressured. You either get with us or get off board, right? Or we're going to start attacking you. I guarantee that's what the troops told this lady. And then she found, oh, these are the cool kids. These are the drug addicts and the thugs and the black sheep and everything like that. It looks more funny. It's more fun over here being nasty and hateful. People love drama. And it was no longer about a missing child anymore. It was about how nasty, deplorable, how much drama you could create and how much money you could get in your bank account. That's sad. At the expense of a child. At the expense of a child. And then we have this last one. Nope, that's it. And this is the Nancy Grace.
And I'm coming back.
Okay, when will you be back? Do you know yet?
Not yet.
Why?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I'm going back to work.
You're going back to work. What about you, Miss Prophet?
No, I'm not going back to work. Not yet, at least.
Did you leave the home also, Miss Proudfoot?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
To accompany my husband going back to work, and then I'm coming back.
Whatever they say, right? Whatever they say. So, again, lots of questions, definitely no answers, and we continue to march on. We continue to march on. We're going to continue to expose these horrendous statements, these statements that don't make sense. Why were we confused about who Sebastian Rogers was? It's because the way the mom and stepfather were talking about him. They acted like he couldn't even use the restroom, that he was an infant. And now, most recently noted, they're saying, we don't understand how people got him so confused. He's so capable and so able. Well, you're the one that says that he gets on a school bus every day, but doesn't know how to ride a school bus. What does that tell all of us? What does that tell all of us? Some of the statements that these two people have made about their son are just very questionable. You know, we all felt angry at the beginning because of how they spoke about their missing son that they say they allegedly loved. And the lack of, I mean, look at her face. Look at their faces. They look more annoyed that people are asking questions than they do asking for somebody pleading. They've never pled to anyone. In this very interview, she thinks somebody took her son, but never pleads for him to return her son. These are just things that come natural in a situation like this. When you're missing your child and you know your child, think about it. I want people, you know what? Do me a favor, guys. Do me a favor. I want you guys sitting here, whether you're at work listening or not, I just want you to take a few moments. I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes. And I'm going to paint a picture for you. Okay? Let me know your eyes are closed. So you have a great day. You have a child that you love. We're not going to make this child a female or male. We're just going to, a child. This is your child. Your child. Okay? Your child. You have a great day. Truth says my eyes are closed. Then how did you type? No, I'm just joking. Okay, guys, close your eyes. You guys have your child. You had an amazing day. You guys, you joke, you play, you have fun, you're smiling, you're hugging, you're kissing. You go out to dinner, you go to a gaming place so you can play some video games, and you come home and you put your child to bed. Give them a kiss on their cheek, you make sure they're tucked in, you tell them you love them. You some of us will have our children pray before they close their eyes and go to bed for the night. You wake up the next morning and your child is gone. You're not panicked at first. You think, "Oh, this is my child." All of our childs, we have little jokesters in the house. Check under the bed, you check in the closet, check in the living room, check in the kitchen. You go outside, you knock on some doors, you find out nobody has seen your child. Now you're going around, looking at your windows, looking at your doors. This is a child that has never left your side in 8 years except to go on, on play dates or go to a friend's house for sleepovers. You're going to tell me that this is the way you're going to look when talking to the world about your missing child? You're going to tell me that you would get in your vehicle and run 2 states over or a state over if your child was missing? A child that you've been taking care of since this child was born, that you love, that you just had an amazing night with, and you wake up and your child is gone? And the first thing your husband says when he walks into the house is, "What are we going to do if he's dead?" Gets in a camper and runs away. Can't stay in the house. Is that really going to be, are you really going to have this face? You're really not going to plead to the public to bring your boy home? You're not going to have tears in your eyes? You're not going to be uncontrollable, inconsolable? This is the way you're going to look? Cut it out. Cut it out. Some of us have never even given birth to our children. Some of us were married into children. And I can guarantee you that we would be doing a hell of a lot more than we've seen from some of these people that were responsible for protecting this boy. And then the last caveat is everything bad that's happened to this child, from being RSA'd to now disappearing and 5 CPS reports, those all happened inside his mother and her husband's home. That's it. That's where the buck stops. That's where the buck stops. Where's Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers? We're still on the mission to bring Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers home safely, or to make the full weight of the justice system beat on the heads of those that may have injured one hair of this child. One hair. All right, guys, God bless you. Have a great Tuesday. Thank you for allowing me to come over here and speak to you about some of the information that I saw. I want to thank all of the daily sponsors today. Andrea, it's nice to see you, my love. Pamela, Oma, Nani, McPoppins, Kimberly, it's nice to see you as well. Brown Eyed Girl. Deanna, thank you so much. Aletha, thank you so much. Mickey's mom, Forever Nikki's mom. And Melanie, thank you. Oh, Aletha, 5-month member, reminding us Sebastian's Army. Stephanie and Michelle gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. Our beautiful Abigail, it's nice to see you, my love. Welcome to this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. But we know you've been around, so welcome home. Lisa, thank you so very much for your generous donation. Thank you to whoever gave me my membership. Our beautiful Tracy is up in the house, blinging with the stickers. And we got Mally Cat gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. If you received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership, don't forget to tell Mally Cat thank you. And welcome to this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. And then we have Kiki saying, my son looks like Alexa, says it looks like Alexis. Look at the front, side, rear features. And, again, I think this car could be any car. We just have to work at it because we're not getting anything from law enforcement. We're never going to get anything from law enforcement. And we just pray that it's not, I just feel like we're in a no crime state. And I'm praying to God for this case that the Tennessee Justice Department proves me wrong. They prove me wrong. They either bring this child home safely or they arrest somebody at this point. We know a full investigation should be completed at this juncture. It should be completed at this juncture. Guys, we have a 1:30 live going on. It's already set up for Crime Stories, Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. Please get over there. Let me get that channel up so you guys can go over there and sign up. We're going to be going over our breaking news. We got some new updates on Sadiksha Kunaki that we are going to be going over. We've got other things. Let me see what else we've got in the conversation. Oh, we have just a wild case. We're going to be talking about the two brothers that were going to Boston and missed their flight and wound up, both of them twin brothers, deceased on a mountain that they've never been to before, nor were even going to. So the family's very, very concerned. Law enforcement's initial statements were that it's a murder-suicide. The family says there ain't no way. I'm sorry, until there's more information, I'm siding with the family on this because, like I said, I think family knows more than anybody. If they really thought that this was a probability, they probably wouldn't be speaking out so loud about it. But they're saying there's no blessed way. And we're going to be going over some new details, like I said, for Sadiksha Kanaki's disappearance, and some statements where, I'm glad we always try to keep this stuff, neutral until something kind of tips us over the edge. There are some things that are that make me believe that what this kid that's the person of interest in her disappearance is stating is it could be possible. And there's other alternatives that could also be possible. But let's go to the resources. Let's go to the family. Let's find out what the family is believing. And I think you guys are going to be very interested in the next live that we're going to be doing on our Crime Stories channel. Again, let me find that channel real quick. Get this down here. So I just wanted to go. Here it is. My stomach is literally growling. And don't forget, if you guys would like to sub up, you're going to want to sub up now because this will be put on a 20-minute sign up. So you want to get now. If you get in now, you'll be able to conversate with the rest of the crew. If we get any trolls in there, I'll have to wind that back. But usually we can kind of I don't anticipate this live being any more than a lunchtime hour live. So hopefully you guys will all see me soon over on Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. Please go over there, sub up. God bless each and every one of you, and we will see you soon. Oh, and for the replay crew, if you're coming back here for replay, let me know your thoughts on this. Do you have other questions that have come up since reviewing this live? If you do have other questions or something that we may need to look into a little further, please email those to me. That's the best way. If you need me to see something, I may not be able to respond. I used to be able to respond to people a lot easier than I do now, but I'm getting a high volume of emails, so I'm behind on emails. I try my absolute best, but it's only me, so please bear with me. But that is absolutely the best way you can get a hold of me is through my email, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. All right, guys, make it a great day. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe. But more importantly, what? Kind to one another. God bless.
If you shave your cooch, but not your booty hole, is that the same as a mullet?
My tongue out her ass and left. I'm on TV. Oh shit! First cops, now this. Oh.